In one of the most anticipated sprint clashes of the 2025 season, the Diamond League men's 100 meters in Rabat, Morocco, delivered an electrifying moment that track fans had been waiting for all year. 4 of the fastest men on Earth lined up on the same track, each with something to prove, each with a legacy on the line. The Olympic champion, the world champion, the African record holder, and the most consistent sub-10 performer in history were all set to explode out of the blocks in what was billed as a generational race. This wasn't just another meet. This was a battlefield of titans where reputations would be made or broken in under 10 seconds. The atmosphere was charged with tension, and the stakes couldn't have been higher. Would the rising star Letsile Tebogo take the win and prove he's the new face of sprinting? Could Fred Kerley, the American powerhouse, silence the critics and reclaim his dominance? Or would this be the moment Akani Simbine, often overlooked, finally rose to the top of the sprinting throne? With the stands packed and cameras rolling, all eyes were on the starting blocks as these elite athletes prepared to unleash speed that could shake the world rankings. But what unfolded shocked even the most seasoned track analysts, as one man separated himself from the pack with a performance that sent a thunderous message to every sprinter on the planet, and this was only the beginning. This wasn't the first time Letsile Tebogo and Fred Kerley had shared a lane, and every time they did, the tension was palpable. Their rivalry, built over years of global clashes, had become a symbol of the new versus the old guard. In their 6 previous meetings over the 100 meters, Kerley held a narrow lead, with 4 victories to Tebogo's 2. But the narrative was shifting. Tebogo, the young prodigy from Botswana, stunned the world with his Olympic 200-meter gold and had the track world buzzing over whether he could now dominate the 100-meter as well. Kerley, on the other hand, had tasted glory before, world champion in 2022, but recent performances had many questioning whether his best days were behind him. The Rabat showdown offered no warm-ups or excuses. It was pure sprinting warfare between 2 titans whose styles couldn't be more different. Kerley's raw aggression and top-end power versus Tebogo's smooth turnover and effortless top speed. The build-up alone was enough to split fans down the middle, with social media firing on all cylinders and analysts predicting a photo finish. But this race didn't go the way anyone expected. One faltered, one faded, and their battle took a shocking turn that may have just shifted the balance of power in sprinting forever. While the spotlight was fixed on Tebogo and Kerley, Akani Simbine had quietly been constructing one of the most consistent and dangerous seasons of his career. The South African sprinter, often considered a perennial finalist but never quite a favorite, arrived in Rabat undefeated in 2025 and ranked number 1 in the world. That wasn't by accident. He had systematically dismantled top contenders all season long, including big names like Christian Coleman, Ferdinando Manuela, and even Keshane Thompson. Simbine's 2025 campaign had been a masterclass in discipline and precision, marked by explosive starts, razor-sharp technique, and an unshakable focus. But what made his presence even more historic was his record-breaking achievement that quietly echoed through the sport. Simbine had just become the first man in history to run under 10 seconds for 11 consecutive seasons, breaking Usain Bolt's record of 10. For a man so often overlooked in the headlines, that kind of longevity speaks volumes. Simbine wasn't just fast. He was timeless. And Rabat gave him the perfect platform to shut down any remaining doubt. Could this be the year he not only wins races, but seizes the narrative entirely? That question hung in the air as he stepped to the blocks, locked in and ready to prove that slow-burn greatness always finds its moment to explode. This wasn't your average Diamond League sprint lineup. Every single man on that track had broken 10 seconds, and several had dipped well below the mythical 9.90 mark. Among them were not just household names like Kerley, Tebogo, and Simbine, but also powerhouses like Ferdinando Manuela of Kenya and Emmanuel Esimi of Cameroon. 2 men in the field had even clocked under 9.80 in their careers, a feat that separates the elite from the immortals. The Rabat race wasn't a 2-man show. It was a demolition derby of elite speed, where a single mistake meant falling behind a pack of predators. This kind of depth doesn't just raise the bar, it obliterates it. Athletes knew there would be no room for error, no late surges to save the day. The start had to be flawless, the drive phase had to be lethal, and the finish had to be bulletproof. Anything less, and you were left in the dust. It was clear that only the most precise and fearless sprinter would take the crown. And as the runners lined up, each staring down their lane like a fighter eyeing an opponent, you could feel it in the air. Something incredible was about to happen. When the gun fired, the entire stadium seemed to freeze in awe as one man exploded off the line like he had been shot from a cannon. Akani Simbine didn't just get a good start, he got a perfect start, leaving even the most reactive sprinters struggling to keep pace. While the cameras locked onto Tebogo and Kerley, it was Simbine who immediately took control, carving out a lead by 30 meters that looked almost effortless. Behind him, Ferdinando Manuela was grinding hard to stay close, and Fred Kerley was trying to mount a response. But the gap wasn't shrinking. Letsile Tebogo, shockingly, was already off the pace, his body language betraying frustration and fatigue within seconds. The crowd roared louder with every stride, the noise rising with the realization that this race was being stolen in real time. Simbine surged with unmatched rhythm, his stride long and fluid, while his competitors looked tense, desperate, and slightly off their rhythm. By the time they hit 80 meters, it was clear no one was catching him. Not today. Not even close. Akani Simbine crossed the line in 9.95 seconds, clean, controlled, and completely unbothered, putting a full tenth of a second between himself and the rest of the world-class field. That kind of gap in a race like this is unheard of. The wind? A modest plus 0.6 meters per second. Legal and far from wind-assisted. This wasn't just a win, it was domination. Behind him, Ferdinando Manuela clocked 10.05, Fred Kerley followed in 10.07, and Cameroon's Emmanuel Asame finished strong in 10.10. But the real shock came from Tebogo, who visibly backed off in the final 50 meters, almost jogging to the line at 10.43. For Simbine, the result was more than another victory. It was confirmation. He wasn't just winning races, he was commanding them. With each performance like this, he's rewriting the pecking order of men's sprinting. He didn't need favorable wind. He didn't need mistakes from rivals. He just ran his race and crushed every single name on that track. And while some were stunned, Simbine walked away like it was just another day at the office. Because for him it was. The biggest question coming out of Rabat wasn't just about who won, it was why one of the sport's brightest stars seemingly gave up halfway through the race. Letsile Tebogo, who had built a reputation for dazzling finishes and fearless racing, was a shadow of himself. After the first 40 meters, his posture shifted, his drive faded, and by the halfway mark, it looked like he mentally checked out. Clocking 10:43, his worst time in recent memory, fans and analysts were left baffled. Was it an injury? Fatigue from a grueling season? Or was it something deeper? Perhaps a psychological blow from Simbine's immediate dominance. It's not the first time we've seen young stars falter under pressure, but for a competitor like Tebogo, this kind of collapse was unprecedented. It didn't look physical, it looked internal. Whatever the reason, it was clear that something was off. And for a sprinter trying to cement himself as the next great icon, a performance like this raises serious questions. Was it a fluke or a red flag? With this win, Simbine isn't just leading the world rankings, he's rewriting the narrative. For years, he's been in the shadows of bigger names, quietly making finals, posting sub-10s, and staying remarkably consistent. But now, in 2025, he's finally commanding attention. His early season form is pristine, his starts are sharper than ever, and his finish is clean and composed. Most importantly, he's peaking at the perfect time, a skill only the best possess. For every sprinter looking toward the World Championships or the Olympics, this performance should sound alarms. Because Simbine is no longer just a finalist, he's the favorite. And as he himself said in a recent interview, "I'm only getting started." The calm confidence in his voice echoed louder than the starter's pistol. The man who once played the underdog now carries the presence of a champion. And if this is only the beginning, the rest of 2025 is about to get very interesting. While Akani Simbine celebrated his dominance, the track world was left to ponder a deeper question. Are we witnessing a shift in sprinting's hierarchy? Fred Kerley, though still powerful, hasn't looked invincible in a long time. His third-place finish was respectable, but not terrifying. Tebogo, once hailed as the future, looked like he hit a wall, figuratively and literally. Meanwhile, Simbine, the most seasoned of them all, is aging like fine wine, showing not decline but improvement. It's a strange twist in the sprinting saga. The new king isn't the rising star or the former champ, it's the quiet workhorse who's been there all along. And that makes the story even more powerful. Because Simbine didn't burst onto the scene. He built his throne brick by brick. As we head deeper into the 2025 season, one thing is clear. This isn't just a changing of the guard. It's a full-scale sprinting revolution. And the man leading it? He's been hiding in plain sight the whole time.